So, hi everyone. Hope you're having a lovely weekend. I would like to
Yeah,
to our first event of the year as the OSCA Eldoret chapter. It's an introduction to open source, and we will also be having a little bit info session about what open source is all about. Today we have a guest, Malik. I can't really, Abdul Malik. We will tell you more,
yeah,
but he's a chapter lead. He's a chapter lead for Open Source Community Africa, Ado Ekiti in Nigeria. I think towards the north of Nigeria. Yes. He's also an active open source contributor, and I've been loving the work that he's been doing with his community, and I thought it would be good for us to have this session to see how this community could help us moving forward. So yeah, so let me first share my screen for just a short info session about what Open Source Community Africa is all about. Okay, just a minute. Sorry, Malik, when you were joining, did you just join straight, or did you have to wait for me to allow you in?
I think I joined straight since the meeting has started.
Okay, no problem.
Before the meeting started, I couldn't join, so it was requesting that the host start the meeting before I can join.
Okay.
So I think it's very straightforward. I don't think there's a permission needed. So
okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, share. Can you see my screen? Okay. So first of all, welcome to the meeting. I hope one of many. Welcome to Open Source Community Africa Eldoret. And before we go, so what is Open Source Community Africa? So Open Source Community Africa is a group of open source lovers within and across Africa. Open source lovers, especially within the field of tech. So this encompasses everybody, from developers, designers, writers, people who develop hardware, everybody in tech. And the main aim of why this community was brought up was to increase the rate of credible contributions to open source, and with that be able to make a generation of creators, people who are actually creating software and creating in tech and contributing. And one of the ways that they are doing this is through the chapters across Africa. This chapter, the reason that I personally applied to open for this chapter to be opened was I felt that there was not enough, I think, tech evangelism in the grassroots, tech and open source evangelism in the grassroots in Eldoret. That's where I'm from. And I wanted to introduce this to the town, to the town as a whole. I'm aware that there are some higher learning institutions like my university who have GDSEs and other kinds of tech communities, but these are communities that don't have a lot of these students come, and then after they graduate, most of them go to the capital city. So that's why I decided to apply to start Open Source Community Africa Eldoret, and I hope we'll be able to learn and share and help each other on this journey. So welcome to all of you. And I would like to hand over to Abdul Malik to take us through open source and everything that's interesting about it. and his experience and his community's experience. So Abdul Malik, please, you could start.
Okay, yeah, he's back. He's back. Looks like your internet cut off the other time. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So I
Yeah, we can hear you.
just lost power and
Okay, yeah, sorry.
internet, but I'm using my phone for internet. So I think you can, I don't know, where did you last hear me? At what point was I at?
Yeah, you were discussing the reason why you created, you applied for OSCA Odorant, and
Okay,
due to the fact that there were not enough developer evangelism in your area.
okay, no problem. So I think I would like to hand it over to Malik to introduce us to open source and the work that is done around it and that his community has done around it. So thank you. I think Malik, you can just take it away.
So thank you for giving the opportunity to come speak here. I do appreciate. So let me share my screen. Uh, okay, looks like you've disabled participant from sharing screen. Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Salah Abdul Malik. I'm a penetration tester and an open source contributor. Open source contributors are called open source. So, I happen to be the chapter lead of OSCA Ekiti. Let's get started. So, introduction to open source, that is open source 101. So, what is open source? Like, open source is still the same thing as open source software, which is shortened into the acronyms version of OSS. So when you see OSS is still the same thing. It's still the same thing as open source software, which is also the same thing as open source. Are you with me? So now, open source refers to a project, softwares, IT development projects, which are free, available freely to the world. That is, anybody can uh, have a copy of the project, modify the project, uh, improve the project, and then fix issues on the project and improve, make enhancements to the project. That is, everybody have access to that project. They can use, remodify, edit, and republish. So open source is all about collaboration, sharing, communication, co-design, and transparency. That's what open source is for. A very clear example of transparency was the time where there was a particular bug in this Java application log4j. So now, due to the transparency, everybody, the developers, did not hide anything. So they accepted that there's a vulnerability in this project and they worked on fixing it. So it was very transparent. Everybody deployed the latest, the fixed version of the 4J library. Also, open source is about collaboration. That is, the main purpose of open source is collaboration. Different individuals from different parts of the world will okay, maybe you had a particular problem, you solved it, and then the okay, I think, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, but it's like you cut off for a few minutes.
Yeah, my internet. Sorry for that. So open source is about sharing. So let's take for example, you were working on a project and then you had an issue which required you creating time to build a library to solve the issue, and then when you are done solving it, you can share it with the world. So any other person that is having that issue, that might be having or is having that issue, can clone your make use of the project or the library that you created. So now, when you're talking about open source, there's no way you'll be leaving out license, because license is what makes the source code available for distribution and modification. Without a license on your project, I'm not sure if your project is open source project. So a license differentiates between an open source software and a non-open source software. So now moving to the next slide, which is open source licenses. So open source licenses have been handled and like we can say governed by the open source initiatives OSCA. Okay,
Hello, Malik. It's like,
okay. So
okay.
yes, open source license, we can categorize them into three. So we have the permissive license, that is you can make use of the code, remodify, reuse without
Sorry, Malik. I think you could just turn off your video.
claiming the name.
Smooth.
Hello, yeah.
I'm sorry, you're cutting off. I think just switch off your video so that we have like a smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think, is it okay now?
Yeah, now I can hear you well enough.
Okay. So open source this permissive license makes softwares and projects permissive for use, remodification without any penalty, in as much as you are not claiming to be the claiming to be the in as much as you are not using the name of the open source company for, you are not violating or making use of the open source, the name of the open source project or company to back your usage for that project. So that is a very and we have the examples like Apache, BSD, which is a Berkeley standard distribution, and we have the MIT. So Apache is a very common open source project that is used by the big tech, that is the tech giants. And then we have the BSD and MIT. MIT is very common. A lot of MIT projects are open source. So, and a very visible example of permissive license is a project like Angular, Vue.js. So now you can make use of Vue.js open source project, and then you can build your tool, and it is not compulsory for you to upload the source code of what you have built with that open source project, which is called Vue.js. So now moving to the restrictive and the copyleft license. So it means any project that has this license, the GPL, which is we have the GPL, we have the LGP, and we have the AGPL. So that is anybody that makes use of this project, it is a must. So it is a must that you uh that you share out your source code. That is, if you make use of the project, you can't hide, or you can't just it is a must that you publish that source code back. Beside edited source code, it is a must that you share it back. So GPL is LGP. I think LGP is a bit fair than the GPL. LGP is like library general public license, and then is a very common license in projects like I think MongoDB was the one that introduced the LGPL. So it's like is the Library General Public License. Also, we have the AGPL, which is a Federal General Public License. So now moving to the server side public license. So this is another license that is you are not okay, so you're not allowed to host most of the projects on your part. So that's that about that. Let me just move to the next slide. Hello guys. Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I thought okay. So now moving to the next slide. Sorry. Moving to the next slide. So why should you contribute to open source?
Just a minute.
Hello?
Sorry, for everyone that is here, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, you can hear me, right? Okay, yes, I think they said they can hear me, right? Or am I? Okay, yeah, okay, yes, okay, thank you guys. So now we've discussed about the open, what open source is, the licenses, and then so now let's go to the next slide, which is why should you contribute? Why do you have to contribute to open source? So number one out of the point is peer education. Open source will help you grow in terms of being a better developer, a better designer, and a better and becoming better in whatsoever niche you are using to participate in open source. So being a developer, you sure. Okay, you can. It depends on. Okay, sorry, I will come back to the question when I'm done. Yeah. So now, why should you contribute? Peer education. So with open source, you have the opportunity to learn alongside with different people with different viewpoints around the globe on different projects. So imagine you contributing to writing making a contribution to VGS, trying to improve some maybe the benchmarks and others. So when you push your contribution, we are like professionals in the community, in the developer community. We review your code, check it out, and then tell you where you can improve this, tell you why you shouldn't put this here, where you should instead use this. So you get tutored. Sorry, so you get you get to learn amidst your colleagues. I hope you guys are with me. So you get to learn amidst your colleagues from different parts of the globe. So that's that about peer education. So you tend to get better on what you are doing. You know, the people are viewing whatever you are building from different side, and you know, some people might have done something like that, which they got to know that this is not the best way to do it, this is the best way to do it. So now also personal certification. You know, when you improve what you are and you get satisfied, I think most of the time there's a particular banking app in the country, and then before I actually used the banking app, I think I had to uh, no, I think okay, sure. Let me use that as an example. Okay, but when you improve softwares that you are using, you get that satisfaction that okay, yeah, I added this to the project, and then it's meets the project got enhanced. That is, it's maybe you were the one that added the dark mode future to the project. So that's satisfaction that comes with it, that yeah, I'm the one that built this, I improved this. So there's this personal satisfaction. You get satisfied that yeah, I was the one that did that and that. So now let's come to the next point, which is mentorship from people who are in the industry. I think that I mentioned something of that in the peer education part. You get professionals within the community, get uh, uh, your codes and your contribution gets reviewed by them, so they can guide you, tell you how, share resources on how you can get better on most uh, in your niche, and then give you advice on where you need to focus more, and where you shouldn't bother yourself and let go. So get mentored by from people in the industry. So that's that about that. So networking, yeah, open source is a very great tool for networking, and it will help you grow your reputation and also your network. Imagine somebody that contributes to Kubernetes projects, and I've also, or maybe somebody that is a real time or a core, like not really a core, but somebody that is very happy to always contribute to any Facebook project. So one, he or she will get the opportunity to meet project maintainers of those projects, network with them, they get to know each other. Do you understand? They get to know each other, and then seeing this individual name popping up every time in different Facebook projects will give you a sense of uh, um, respect to that individual. That is, yeah, for this guy to be here, to be here, to be here, and everything that is he or she is contributing is getting accepted. So the 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 reputation of that individual have rised, has increased. So imagine if this React guy at Facebook, Dan Abramov. So imagine is an every contributor of open source, and he's the one that I think is the one that wrote React, is the owner of the projects said on Facebook repo. So it will help you through open source. You can network, and then it will help you improve your reputation within the developers community or the tech space in. So now also we have our CV addition, that is it attracts recruiters. So let me give you a very good example of this one. If you okay, so now if you are trying to apply to to maybe GitLab or GitHub, and then you have been a very very good contributor to the GitHub CLI tool, or maybe the GitHub one of their tools. So you have been contributing. So it means that for you to contribute, you understand the project. So now, when applying for maybe a role in that company, are you with me? Are you guys with me? Okay, yeah, thank you. So when applying for a role in such company, if you add it to your CV that yeah, I've contributed to this your project, and this your project, it gives you a upper hand. I mean, like it makes you different from other uh candidates. So they believe that for this person to have contributed to our project, definitely he understands the project, and this is the project that he or she will be working on himself or herself. So there's no point in uh, beating around the bush candidate. So open source will help improve your chances when applying to jobs, and then it attracts recruiters. So now let's come to the last option here, which is funds and swag. Everybody wants money, right? So And then there are a lot of opportunities, and also merch and swags are something that you can't leave out in the tech space. The developers community, we love swags, stickers, merch, writing, Google on it, Auto, GitHub, and the rest. So there's a lot of swags in contributing to open source, especially during the month of October. And there are still some other open source hackathons and challenges. So now the funds aspects, we have a lot of we have uh, internships, open source internships that you can apply to, the likes of Google of Docs, which pays I'm not sure about their stipend now, but we have outreach there. That the outreach pays 7,000 USD, right, as stipend, and we have Google Season of Code. We have a lot of open source internships that pays students and every other person to contribute to open source. Maybe towards I have a particular slide dedicated to that. So now let's move to the next slide. So why do companies participate in open source? I think my network. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you. I can hear you.
You can hear me, but I think my network broke the other time, right?
Yeah, for a few seconds. For very few
Yeah,
seconds.
sorry about that.
Ah,
Okay.
let's
So
continue.
now, why should company contribute? Why are companies into open source? Why are they contributing and creating open source project? Number one is security. A project that is crowd funded, or it's sorry, not crowdfunded, I mean crowdsourced. you know a lot of people are contributing to it. So since all of us are using this project, there's no way we would want the library or the software to get attacked by the malicious guys, and so there's no way we can do it. We have to strengthen the security of the libraries that we are using, or the software that we are using, which gives the company a very which gives the company like it is a win for the company. Companies are using that open source software, so they believe all of us can just see, but all of us cannot just sit down and be watching the project that we are using being attacked by the malicious guys. So somebody somewhere we volunteer, they believe somebody somewhere will volunteer and solve the security issues. We all use it, somebody will fix it. So it is a plus to the company. They don't have to have a special security team sitting down to look into the project to solve it in-house, dedicating some money to security consultants and rest. So now performance. Open source, we like contributing to open source. It's companies in like the way the productivity, the quickness, the speed of softwares. Look at a project by Facebook now, Dokusaros. So Dokusaros is a documentation, is a tool that you can use in spinning up a quick documentation page. And this software is always getting updates to improve the security and all that, and this is totally open source. So as a company, I want to spin up a document. I can use Dokusaros open source project, and then when it comes to performance, these guys, the team is always working. They just released their beta 16 of the Dokusaros project. The team is always working on improving the project, so it's a win for the company. So okay, let me just leave that. Agility, quickly changing the focus. I think I did a mistake here. Quickly changing. So for companies, having contributing to open source gives them the ability to to make a swift change of focus on what matters and what doesn't matter. So now, if a company is have an idea of a particular of budget or something, so now they open source the idea. Maybe they wrote some little part of the project and then open source it. Then hoping that the project will maybe succeed, get the attention of a lot of people, and then maybe later, maybe after some few A/B testing, they notice that the project will actually fail or is failing, so they can quickly make a swift change of their focus and bring up another project. Since a lot of voluntary services are being used, and then uh, it is not as if the providing a fully funded project. So it is a very it is a very it is a way for companies to make a quick change of their focus to focus on what matters. So fail fast, I think that's very close to changing of focus. So when no, I don't think it's very near, but if they can easily fail, they can fail fast on an open source project and move on to the next project. A lot of open source projects are no longer in use, let's say dead, you know people are no longer using the projects. And then most of the time, if you check the last contribution, you see something like 2013, 2012. So those projects are dead. And since it is open source, it is cost free. Like, the resources and the cost is very low, so companies can easily move on. So feedback loop. Yeah. So with through open source software, everybody is trying to improve an open source projects that they have encountered. So it's companies don't have to beg for feedback from users. Users will always provide the feedback to them, because it is open source and everybody wants to contribute. So when I have an issue with a product or software that is open source, I go back, I move on to their GitHub repo, create an issue, and send them feedbacks on what I'm experiencing, and what I want, what I believe they can improve in their project. So innovation, next on to the next point. Innovation, focus talent and skill, focusing talent and skill on what matters. So now this option is giving companies to filter, to allow talents, experts to, it's more or less like filtering out the skills and talent that is needed on whatsoever project. So let's take, for example, the Microsoft AI reinforcement project. I think yeah, is an open source internship also. So now through the open source internship, now Microsoft is targeting AI slash machine learning talent and individuals. So imagine, it's as a blockchain developer, or maybe as a front end guy, they have filtered out those individuals. So now it is the AI, the machine learning guys, that are a very good fit into the reinforcement AI open source internship. Are you guys with me? Yeah. So hello. Hello. Okay, yeah. Thank you. So it is the it is an avenue for companies to filter out and select talent for their innovations. So another point is source wins, and everybody agrees to that. I shouldn't say everybody agrees. Everybody knows that open source will always win, because all of us are looking for softwares to use. Spin up. It's not. We can't be paying for all libraries that we are using. Do you understand? So open source will always win. Imagine you trying to create a software now, and then, as a developer, as a library, there's a free library that you can just add to your project that will handle the payment gateway for you. There's no way you won't think about it twice before using the library. So open source wins. The companies know that, so it is a must. Like, they can't look away from that side. So source wins. So now, open source is the basis of Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. Web 3.0, Web 3 is now the latest within the tech space, Web 3. But notwithstanding, open source is the basis, is the, let's say, yeah, because Bitcoin is an open source project. A lot of resources, libraries, and dependencies that are used in this Web3 project are open source. You understand? So open source is everything. The Web 2.0 is rest on open source projects. When a very good example was when there was this Log4j vulnerability that affected a lot of companies, because they use this open source library in their projects. It's more or less like their company projects relies on the library or the dependency. So open source is the basis of Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. So now let's move to the next slide. So now there's a misconception that open source is about code is for developers. Well, the answer is no. Open source is not just about code contribution. Open source is way more wide than that. Anybody with both technical and non-technical background can contribute to open source. The number one point here is documentation and translation. There's no way you'll be talking about open source and you leave out the documentation guys from your open source project. So let me just go to the slide that is explaining about documentation and translation. So now, documentation as a gateway to open source. Or no, let me just list out the points before moving on. So the security aspect, you can't be using a vulnerable open source project. People tend to leave out security researchers when they are talking about projects, open source projects. All these softwares have, there's no way, yeah, it's okay. We believe that people write secure codes. Yeah, they try their best to write secure code, but notwithstanding, there will still be a bug in your project, in your code base, which will leave it vulnerable to either, depends on who finds the vulnerability first, either the bad guys or the good guys. The good guys will report to you, while the bad guys will make use of the vulnerability to their own, to achieve their own goals and objectives. So now, when open source, we have the design guys. I think a lot of the design guys are missing, are not well fed with information. As a designer, you can contribute to open source. I'll explain more better on that in the next slides. So now, community, yeah. Helping people and putting out good resources to help others. I think my internet connection went. Sorry about that. Not sure why this internet connection. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry about that. So you can contribute to open source as a as a as a community, providing help to the community. Sorry. So providing help to the community members. So is a very good example of somebody that does uh, contribution through community is Eddie Joe. No, I've forgotten the guy's name, but he's a very popular YouTuber, open source YouTuber, and a GitHub star. So sorry, I don't want to misspell his name. Let me check through. Yeah. I'm sorry, please. I'm coming. I'm just okay. Edidi Joe Child is a GitHub star and an every community source community contributor. And also another way of contributing to open source is a
Malik, it seems we cannot get you.
to connect and rub minds to build the next billion African creators. So now coding, yeah, the coding guys, the code guys are the ones that we believe that they are the ones that dominate the open source space. So there's no need for explaining, expanding on them. So also you can contribute to open source through testing, bug fixes, and feature suggestion. You can just sit down and be testing codes, fixing bugs, and then suggest making features suggestion to open source projects. So I think I met with somebody that I just all he does is test the code of Kubernetes. There are a lot of untested code on Kubernetes projects. So all he does was just testing this code, and then he's now is I think he's now a team is like a core team member or a team member of the Kubernetes team at the time when I met him. And all he does was just testing the code, and then they employ that individual, the guy. So now you can be testing code and fixing bugs, or better still suggesting features, but don't spam maintenance with features that you yourself feel is not very okay. So now the last one is advocacy, advocating for projects. Advocating for open source projects is another way. If you have used the software before and you feel, okay, this project is nice and awesome, you share it out. And a very good example of this on my own side is when I started using Firebase. I'm a developer, but I've never heard about Firebase before. But through the community lead of my Google Developer Campus, then I discovered he told me what Firebase is, and then I started using Firebase, and I must tell you, it is my life as a developer then, because now I'm now a security person. So without him advocating for Firebase, I wouldn't have known about Firebase. Whereas we have Sparbase also, which is an open source alternative to Firebase. So advocating for projects, we help those projects. We help them get more users, which we bring improvement to the project, because everybody will be seeing these projects and issues with from different point of view. So advocating for projects is also a way to contribute to open source. So now let's move to the detailed aspect of all these points. So now documentation as a gateway to open source. Documentation has proven to be the first contribution of a lot of open source. And yeah, even me, my first contribution to open source was through documentation. And yeah, documentation has also proven to be the backbone and strong pole in the software and open source industry. So now, yeah, there's a quote from that I got from Write the Docs. So it says, if people don't know why your project exists, they won't use it. If people can't figure out how to install your code, they won't use it. So if people can't figure out how to use your code, they won't use it. And this is what documentation is staged to solve. So documentation, most developers don't write documentation of their code. I don't know why, but maybe they don't find it easy or it's boring to them. But yeah, so documentation is what allows users to get to know how to use your software. You yourself that wrote the software might be able to use it because yeah, you were the one that built it. And at the same time, if you do not document how to use it, if you go back maybe 5 years later or 10 years later, you yourself might have forgotten how you use your code. So it is better to document, give a well detailed documentation people volunteered contributors to improve your to improve your to improve your open source project. So as you can break into the open source space by improving documentations of projects. The way you can look for uh uh projects that doesn't really that you use in your day-to-day activities, and you can just read them up, fix typos, improve the documentation. If the guide was saying that you have to click the select before navigating to the next, whereas when you are trying to use the software when you were trying to use the software, the clicking of select is not available for you to navigate to the next page. If there is another option, you can document it, and then a lot of just open source maintainers are open to accept your contributions. So I shared some resources that can guide you all. A beginner's guide to writing documentation by Write the Docs, and awesome OSS documentation, GitHub repo, and also awesome technical writing course. Before, yeah, understanding technical writing will also aid you as a contributor, as an open source contributor through documentation. Because if you know understand how to write technical, um how to write technical content, you can easily use softwares and document it down. So it's very easy. So you can just check out the resources I shared. And also the very last one, which is documentation as a gateway to open source. Yeah, is also a detailed guide. And for people, yeah, also when we are talking about documentation, we tend to leave out APIs. It is some guys, yeah, sorry, we have some people, their job is to document APIs. So you can look up to any API documentation of any project and look for ways of improving it. So that's that. Or maybe you can even help open source project to spin up documentations. So that's a guide for you. So documentation also is the API aspects, the uh, niche. So you can easily break into the open space by just contributing to documentations. So now, moving to the next slide, security as a gateway to open source. Yeah, I don't know, a lot of people are not making emphasis on this. They are not really talking much about security in the open source space. But yeah, you can't leave out security in the open source space. If a penetration tester, or maybe an AppSec engineer, security engineer. So now, as a security person, you can go to hunter.dev. Is a platform that they stand in between the hackers and the open source project maintainers. So as you can see here, they said we protect open source software. So now, and apart from the fact that you are helping all of us protect this open source project, you are getting paid, rewarded, and recognized for your actions. So you get paid to find and fix security vulnerabilities in open source software and be recognized for protecting the world. And then here you can see, I shared the link to their website. You can just check through the slide. So here you can see they have been protecting up to like 1,000 plus rebels on GitHub. And if you look closely, you see Microsoft, Facebook, Adobe, TensorFlow, Microsoft, Mozilla projects. So as a security researcher, you can help secure open source projects, get paid, and get recognized. And also, sorry, does somebody want to speak? Hello? Hello? Are you guys with me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. Also released their I think last year Google released up to like $1 million to fund open source security. So now, so secure open source reward pilot program financially rewards financing the okay. So as you get paid, I think this one is somehow different from the Google funded program itself, but these are also a way to improve the security of open source project and you get rewarded. As you can see, you can do code reviews, be independent. Okay, for example, a contributor can follow remediation suggestion to follow. Okay, you can review codes and pick out issues. Yeah, you can fuse the softwares, and then so this is how to participate. And then yeah, so now based on your on the criticality of your findings or submission. So for small improvement that nevertheless have merit from the security standpoint, like getting 505 USD, and for submission that is modest complexity and have a very good impact, because submitting this is more or less like a bug bounty. So submitting vulnerability issues or security issues must show impact, because that's what really matters, the impact and the criticality. So now if your submission is having a very modest complexity and impact, you are getting 1,000 to 5,000, like that to 10,000 and more. So it depends on what you are looking for, what you found, and how severe this security how severe it is from the security standpoint. So that's that. I think this project is even is different from the Google. Okay, yeah, wait, so with initial sponsorship from the Google. Okay, also Google released theirs also, but I think is somehow different from this one, because this one is like a pilot program that is run by Linux Foundation with initial sponsorship. But Google also released I think up to a $1 million late last year, for security researchers to help improve the security of open source projects. So now let's continue with our slide. So that's that about security for the security researchers. Yeah, for the coding gets it to open source. We all know that open source is very centered around the developers who code. So I don't think we need to expand on that. Let me share something. So now, as a developer, you write codes, so you can. It's very easy for you to contribute to open source project. Let me give you a very good example. Maybe you are working on a project, or maybe you found a project and you felt this project should okay, I'm running out of battery. Okay, let me this one. So you can add the features, improve the source code. You can easily find something to fix on a project as a developer. Is it that you add the dark mode? If they don't, you suggest it to the maintainers of the project that, hello, I add this dark mode feature to your project. This is how it will look, and to go. Or maybe you can just ping them up that, okay, you found so that's that. Moving to the next slide, which is designed as a gateway to open source. Yeah, a lot of designers are not aware that they can contribute to open source. I think that's because maybe the resources or the information are not really much on their side. But here is a very visible example of how you can contribute to open source as a designer. So now,
I don't know.
to them,
Malik,
as you can see, greetings at the algorithm. So sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So it said, greetings the algorithm. I'm a graphic designer interested in collaborating with this project by delivering a free logo proposal. If this is something that interests this project, let me know. And then, as you can see here now, on the other side, he sent the logo, I think maybe the initial logo and the redrafted logo. Okay, no, maybe I think he sent the two so they can pick one of the logo. Until today, this particular project makes use of this guy design. And imagine a project that is having up to like 72,000 plus stargazers and 21,000 fogged repository. So imagine that's a very big shout out, like a very big market. I don't want to call it market, a very big project. It is an it. So you can just reference to this project that, yeah, I built this, I created the logo, official logo for this project, and yeah, they are still using it today. So that's what open source is. So as a designer or UX designer, a lot of open source projects has a very bad interface. There's nothing wrong in you reaching out to the maintainers of the project that, yeah, I can help you improve this. And then if they give you the go ahead, you are good to go. You can collaborate. And in fact, most projects, like imagine a Vue.js project, if you get in as a collaborator, they will be rewarding you either. I'm not sure, but I think there should be a financial reward because Vue.js is received sponsorship on their project. So that's that about that. So as designers, okay, yeah, you can also for designers, you can look into the open source design. Open source design.net is a dedicated page for designers who contribute to open source. So there you can find jobs and other design related open source resources. So that's that about that for the design guys. So now let's move to the next slide. Okay, so how do I contribute? Number one, I'm trying to speed up because my battery is running low. I'm really sorry, my backup is dead. So now, how do I contribute to open source project? Number one, find a project that is associated to what you cherish. That is, let's say niche. So now, if you're a design guy, you should look for project that are more into design, mockups, icon and JPEGs. So as a code guy, you look for project that you love or cherish. So let's say, for example, if I React guy, you can create a React a boilerplate that will be helpful to the to you yourself and to others, and then you can advocate for projects. And for the content guys, you can look for projects that you like. Let's say for example the Flutter documentation. Now imagine you writing the Flutter, a part of the Flutter documentation, and then your friend having issues, read that documentation to solve that issue. There's this was vibe that comes from that. So now talk to maintenance project, to the project maintainers. So when you find the project that you want to contribute to, you can easily talk to the project maintainer that, hello, what are you guys lacking, and you are looking to improve, schedule, maybe you are planning to improve. So you can just interact with them, and they will share you what they would love you to pick up to contribute to. So, and for the newcomers, you can always look for a very friendly bug or issues to solve on the first timer only website for in the slide. So another point is integrate into the community. I think, a lot of in my community we actually created a collaborative project. So that's another way of contributing to open source, of looking for ways to contribute. So we built something. So as a community, you can come together, collaborate on projects, and everybody will learn how to use GitHub, and Git. Everybody will be learning. So it's another way of contributing. Another point here is understand how to use Git and GitHub. To be honest, if you don't have your Git and GitHub skill sets in your pocket, you might find contributing to open source very frustrating. A very good example is when you don't know how to use Git to rebase or to revert actions, and then you've pushed it to a repo or made a pull request, and you have to change your commit message. You understand? But if you have the Git and GitHub skill set in your pocket, you can do that easily, and you can even work on every project without having to be without being scared of breaking things. So if somebody doesn't want this and tell you to change your commit message, you can change it via Git, and very easy. So having your Git and GitHub skills in your skill set is very essential. So yeah, well, it's not really necessary for you to. The next point is octoberfest.digitalocean.com. This is a yearly event that happens on the month of October, and then I would say it is not really necessary for you to wait till October before you can contribute to open source. You can start now. But if you want, I feel like I believe that contributing during the month of Oktoberfest there is a vibe that comes with that. Like everybody in the world is actually, a lot of people in the world is actually contributing to open source on that very month, which is October, in the month of Oktoberfest. So it's a very good way for even beginners to get in, because you really find a lot of resources will be coming out, people trying to help each other to make contributions. And the last one here is GitHub. Yeah, it's a GitHub repository that I'm sharing that is very good for you to find the first issues that you can be contributing to. So that's that about that. Let me move to the next slide. Yeah, so now on this slide is where you can see how I was, how I did a contribution to a project. So now on the first slide here, which is this one that I highlighted out. Okay, so this broken link hijacking tool is a tool for looking for broken links in a target assets. Like when you are let's say from my niche, where you are doing some
Hi, Malik. And I think his battery died out the way he was talking. Malik, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello,
I
sorry.
think
Was that from my side, right?
Yeah, I
That
don't
was
know.
from.
Yeah, your screen is not okay. I
Okay,
think
I've
it's
shared it again. So
okay.
you got what I said last, right?
Yeah, I think just repeat the last sentence and continue.
Okay. So yeah, submitting so another slide, which is submit features and enhance request. So on this very first JPEG, if you look closely, you see that I was asking this project maintainer that will it be okay for me to create a Docker file for this tool? Because yeah, broken link hijacking tool is a tool for looking for broken links in a target asset. So if you are hunting on a target, you can always look for, you can find if they have a broken link that is available for you to pick up and register, and maybe you can utilize it to your very best of knowledge. So I asked them if I can write a Docker file for their project, and yeah, they agreed. And after that, and I pushed the pull request, and then it got merged, and that's the end. And I successfully made a contribution. And yeah, on this repo, so I submitted an issue of, like, it's like a feature. So I told them that I would love to help them write their awesome lead. Sorry guys, is it from me or
I'm not
is
sure.
it
Sorry.
okay? Okay, so I told them that I will help them to write their awesome LinkedIn GitHub workflow. For a project that has awesome upright resources, there will there would be issues of syntax error, uh, typos, and any other LinkedIn issues. So instead of them doing it manually, they can always detect the issues when people make pull requests to their projects. So with that awesome LinkedIn workflow, GitHub workflow, they can easily stop and tell people to make corrections before merging their pull requests. And yeah, as you can see, it took a while for them to respond, but they later respond, and then that's that. I was able to make those countries. I'm here to send a PR for this yet, but as you can see here, I requested and I sent the PR. So that's a very good way of submitting features requests. So now let me move to the next slide. Okay, because my battery is running really low and I don't have a backup here. I'm really sorry for that. So community is equal to collaboration. So I think I said that already. You can, as a community, you can do and achieve a lot, collaborate on projects. The designer in the community can help you create the designs for the project. So community is equal to collaboration. And the content guys in your community can help you pull up your content. The developers can handle the coding aspect. So onto the next, we have a lot of roles in open source. We have the maintainers, that is the people that the admins, the people that publish the code, publish the code, the Discord moderators, the social media managers, and we have the committers. So these are the people that commit in projects like VGS, Golang, Linux distro, and other OSS projects, and they are highly respected. So like I think these people are people that have been, they are like the frequent contributors of those projects. So they moved from the level of contributor to committer. So because the maintainers of the project believe they understand the project and they trust them, so they get. So now coming to the contributors, which we as we are contributors. So we are the community members. You can be a mentor, and then you can be a sorry You can be a mentor and you can be a project advocate. So let me move to the next slide. Okay, what not to open source? So when we are talking about open source, some people might get it wrong. It's not as if you have to open source everything. So these are the things you shouldn't or should never open source. So API keys in a project that you're working on is very bad. Credentials is very bad. Like password, login details is very bad. Your employee data, it is totally out of it. It's very bad. So code owned by other companies, it is you don't have the right. Even the companies can sue you. So except if the project has an open source license. So even with the right license, you can't just open source anybody's code, except you understand that this license says I can use, remodify, publish. So that's that about that. So now let's move to the money aspect. Yeah, I think this side, I made mention of making funds and swags in open source. Yeah, so when it comes to making money, a lot of people believe that, yeah, normal, their belief is right, that open source is stamped around something that is free, and then it is based on the contribution of people. They are actually right, but that is to some extent, because you can also monetize your open source project. So through the GitHub sponsors, people like Evan Yu and other credible open source maintainers. But I'll be using Evan Yu as an example here. The guy went from as a full-time contributor to the Vue.js project, and then he was able to maintain himself through the community sponsorship of the communities, of the community members. And they were giving him up to like 3,000 to 4,000 USD monthly through the Patreon through the Patreon support. So as a maintainer or as an open source contributor, yeah, you can create your own open source project, and then people get to use it and they sponsor you. So this is the link to read more about the GitHub sponsor project to see how it works. Also, you can make money indirectly from open source. A very good example of somebody that have done this is the Ghost CMS. The Ghost CMS is actually a CMS content management system. It was actually open source. It was actually an open source project, but later on the project went from the free tier and the premium tier. That is, if you are okay with the free tier, you can use the open source aspect. And if you want a better features, better support, and advanced remodification, you can subscribe to the premium tier. So it means I think the guy has made thousands of dollars through the Ghost CMS premium project. And also we have WordPress. We have WordPress.org that you can just clone the project and you run it on your own server. While we have an open source alternative that is WordPress.com. You can, they are the one to handle the storage and everything for you. But the other WordPress.org, you handle the storage and the hosting. But WordPress.com handles the storage and the hosting, but it comes with a subscription, a monthly subscription, where you can access it for freely for some months. But when you demand for improvement of and technical support and other features like that, you have to pay. It is a monthly subscription. So that is that about the indirect ways indirect ways in which you can make money from open source. Also, the very last one here is to create leads for your project. You can use open source to create leads for your project. In what sense? Let me give a. So I think there was an open source project named Twitter API that a guy created. Twitter tweeting API. Yeah, if I'm correct. So the project is actually open source, but every lead, like the conversion was to like, I think most of the leads were to make conversion for a project named FeedHive. I don't know if you guys know of FeedHive. So FeedHive is I think I'm not sure. They later owned, I think they own the Twitter Tweet API project, but which is actually open source, and then it gives the project drives leads from that project, open source project, to the company, which is FeedHive. So with open source, you can drive leads to your project. And also another example is through ebooks. So you can share your experience freely through open source, freely through ebooks, and open source the ebook with the aims and objective of driving lead through that ebook into another product of yours. So okay, yeah. So yeah, I shared useful links on open source, so you can just check here. Final thought: you can be in open source. Okay, yeah. Well, it's not everybody that wants to open source, give free. So well, it's not my final thoughts. Well, it's not everybody that wants to give out their free time, write code freely for people, for projects, and well, you can be in this for very selfish reasons. There is nothing wrong with that. Are you with me? But when you share, give, and help, and throw good into the world, the karma will come back to you, including interest. So the aim and objective of open source is to share, to help, to give, and to make way things easy for others in the tech space. So that's that. And also one more thing: open source is more about collaborations, because that's really what open source is. It's a collaborative a collaborative tool. So that, I think, yeah. Also, if you notice, this JPEG towards the side says, "I will use and contribute to open source project." You're already using open source project. Your Android OS is open source project, is an open source project. The Linux environment you are using is open source. And for the guys that are already using cryptocurrency, you are using open source project. So why would you not want to contribute to those open source projects and improve them? So that's that about that. So now, I think that is all. So thank you guys for sparing me your time, and I believe everybody actually got what I shared. So now it's Q&A session. Hello.
Hi. Thank you very much, Abdul Malik. Thank you for your time.
Hello.
I think let Clifford take it from here.
I think we are even running late safe. I see this. We ought to end by 3:30. We are already in 3:33.
Okay. So, sorry, let's
yeah.
just get this one question that was asked by Winnie,
Yeah.
and then we can wrap up. I think as an open source beginner, what licenses should I consider for a commercial app? Hello, Malik, can you hear me? Malik, hi. Hello. Can the rest of you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think he has issues with his network. Message. Yeah, I think, yeah, he's gone off. Sorry, Winnie. I think, let's see if he comes back, but I doubt it, because he was saying that his battery was about to finish, so I'm not sure.
I think the question could
he's
be
back.
related and you could share with me the response.
Sorry, Clifford, I can't hear you well enough.
Hello guys, are you
Yeah.
with me?
Yeah, I can hear
My
you.
system went off.
Okay, just I think answer this initial question and then we can close.
Yeah, so let me answer the question. So yeah, he asked about which license is okay to use for his project.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on
App.
yes,
It's a commercial app. Which license do you use when you
e-commerce app. Yeah, it depends on what you are how you are trying to create the project. Because a very good example of license that you use for an e-commerce app that will look like you should know of the WooCommerce open source project or plugin that is available on WordPress, which is freely available to everyone to use. So a license that you use for that a type of e-commerce project is either an MIT or an Apache, the Apache license or the make their own design version. And
sorry, Malik, we can't get you quite well. I think you have your network is not too strong.
sorry, are you guys with me? I think I got cut off.
Yeah, we haven't had anything you've said. Your network got cut off.
Okay. So now, when you are talking about the e-commerce app, is the e-commerce app going to be public? Do you want it to be publicly to be accessible publicly, or you want an e-commerce app that you yourself control, or you yourself control and manage? That is, the source code won't be available to the public.
So I think Winnie should just clarify on a question. You could unmute yourself and just clarify.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Thank you for the session. It was informative. So I'm asking about a commercial app. Let's say a house hunting solution. I want to open source a house hunting solution. So, so what licensing should I consider?
Okay, you said I know. Can you come again? That's
a house hunt, for instance, a house hunting app.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to like an app that people can hunt for house, right?
Yeah, search houses, list their property, all that.
Okay. So okay, I think the way you can do it is that okay, is it like a plugin or it's just a general project?
SaaS, a software service.
Okay, yeah, software as a
Yeah.
service. Yeah. Okay, so now do you want people to use the open source code freely, or you want a restrictive access? That is, anybody that use your code, it is a must they deploy it again back to the public.
I'm not sure I get that.
Okay, okay, now if you open source the project now,
Okay.
do you want people to use it freely without like I can deploy your code on my own server without giving credits? Are you with me? Or it is
Yeah.
and I will not be listed as an individual that uses your software. Do you understand? So But or do you want it the project to be a project that if I make use of your project, it is a must that I redeploy it back to this to GitHub?
Um, my abstention was that I open source it, declare the relative requirements, other the design. So I want just a collaborative development experience and everyone gets the credit.
Okay, I think you can use make use of MIT.
MIT.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's a permissive license. If you notice, we said permissive and copyleft or restrictive license. So a permissive
Yeah.
license we give everybody access to make contribute to the project and get credit. So
Okay.
MIT is very good for that.
And is that letting people collectively develop your project, contribute in deploying all that? Is it safe for a future? Is it safe for a solution in future?
Okay, this is it. If you okay for let's say you project. So now
I missed the first words.
okay, let's say you are not bothered with the of the project. You can use a permissive license, that is the MIT or the BSD or the Apache, that is everybody can.
Sorry, Malik, we can't hear you. Or can you hear him?
No.
His network is not as good. Let's see.
Too bad. But I think I got a gist of what he was saying, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Clifford, did you have something to say?
I'm
Oh,
not
okay,
sorry guys, I'm not sure why my internet is cutting off.
okay, you could just finish what you're
So I
telling.
said if you want the license are divided into two. We have the three, but the most common one are the permissive and the restrictive. So the restrictive will, it means that people can edit, remodify your code, but it is a must for them to deploy it back to the internet. Are you with me? So now if I use your code and remodify it, are you with me? Maybe with your code, I was able to create a local solution for a particular state, and I renamed the project from your own particular naming to my own naming. So it is a must for me to deploy it back to GitHub, that is, deploy it back as an open source project. Are you with me? But with the permissive license, which is the MIT, the BSD, and Apache, I can edit your code, remodify your code, use it without me having any need to redeploy it back. Are you with me? That is, other people can use my software, but they don't get to see the source code of my project, of my software. Whereas I forked the project from your own end to use. So it depends on what you are trying to do with the project that determines the. So if you want a project that anybody that makes use of the project have to make their own copy open source. So I think you can go for the permissive, which is the GPL, Apache, LGPL, and AGPL. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So did you get that part?
Yeah, I got the part. So if I want, what I want is just what's called communal development, but I don't want my source code to get customized by another entity, or yeah. I just want communal development, handling of issues and bugs, all that. but I don't want my source code to get customized later on, like the instance you have provided of changing the name, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So I should go for you've said the
Yeah, I said MIT. But wait,
MIT.
on my own personal project, I think I use the Creative Commons 0 1.2 Universe license. So it is a permissive license. You know, that's the general name, but under them there are different licensing. But the one I'm using for my project is the CCO, that is the Creative Commons 0 1.0 Universe project. So it gives this license gives you the copyright access to your work, to copyright license, like it gives you the copyright rights to your work, and then
Okay.
everybody can also access it in the public. So anybody that is trying to use your project in a way that you don't want, you can, and then people can always contribute to your project. And I think that explains the I think that explains the whole thing. So as a community we can contribute to your project, but we can't copyright, like clone your project and rename it. Are you doing?
Yeah. Thank you for the overview. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I think if when you have any more questions, I'll get Malik's contacts to you. Clifford, you are saying something, but I wasn't getting you. So
No. I was just sharing a vote of thanks to Malik. Yeah, just wanted to appreciate him taking the time to share his knowledge on open source with others. This session was recorded and we'll be able to upload it and share the recording with the members who were not able to be there for the session. And yeah. I think I know it will help someone out there.
okay, no problem. Once again, thank you so much, Abdul Malik. We are appreciative of your content. I think you sent me slides, and I think I will be able to share them also with the GDSC MOI community members.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I'll take your contact in case anybody has questions. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. That's it.
Yeah,
from
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Take care, guys.
Okay, take care.
Thank you for yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.